What is everybody? Today we are looking at the final part for Naughty Dog's Inside series. We saw inside the gameplay, inside the story, inside the details, and now we're watching inside the world. So let's go ahead and get it started.
The world of The Last of Us is dangerous. Unless you're living in a protected area, there's something lethal around every corner.
Tell me more,
Once
Neil.
you venture out of your home, you're in danger. And where we're taking the story and where we're taking Ellie is like each step of the way, she's putting herself in more and more danger to bring these people to justice.
Last of Us Part 2, Inside the World. Let's go.
I would say that the world, in every sense of the word, is bigger than Last of Us Part 1. Both in scale and the amount of physical space that exists for you to explore,
beautiful,
for you to
man.
encounter other people.
Yeah, this route has its perks.
Our hope is to make every corner a challenge, make every decision hard for Ellie. And so we do that not just in the gameplay you experience, but also in the level design. So part of that is making certain experiences really hostile, be it through weather or through rivers or craggy cliffs or slick snow. But we also use it in terms of how blind the player is. Like, what can they see? How safe do you feel? Can you see a threat coming around the corner? You never know if the bullets in your gun are going to be enough. You never know if you can stop and bandage your arm. You can never fully breathe. And we want you to be in alignment with Ellie,
Oh my
who can never
God.
fully breathe when she experiences
I'm
this
so
trauma.
excited for that kind of
For Jackson
narrative
specifically,
and gameplay.
we wanted to make it feel
Ooh,
like a very
concept art.
close-knit kind of community that's focused on family, focused on sustainable ways of living. I obviously have the hydroelectric dam generator that's powering the town, so we have, you know, electricity in Jackson, which is not something that maybe players would expect to see in the world. But given that we're further in time, we wanted to show that there are certain people dedicated in the world to rebuilding a life that
It's like
doesn't
a house
revolve
on the
around
top of that hill.
killing people and scavenging.
As you walk around the town, you can hear kids laughing. You could see people going into restaurants and eating.
I can't wait
and
to explore that
It's
city,
a very
man.
kind of tranquil town.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Now, we know there's all these horrible things happening outside the walls, but they've been able to protect the innocence of this town.
Jackson, in many ways, represents what is at stake for our characters.
If Jackson
A
gets
life of
overrun by a
peace
zombie
and
or by
relative
zombies,
comfort, a life where you
I
can
hope that doesn't
fall in
happen.
love,
Like-
a place where children can play and it's okay. And I think, you know, when we were looking at building out Jackson, it's like, okay, how many of those moments can we represent? What's awesome about the world of The Last of Us is it shows just how precious the things that we
What's up,
take for
Tommy?
granted in our everyday lives, how precious those things really are.
oh my goodness. I see. I cannot wait to explore this world. Every
Seattle
inch of
compared
it,
to
I want to
Jackson
explore.
is very different. It's more of a war zone, I would say.
Part of the interesting thing with
Look how
Seattle
smooth
or
that
the
is.
Pacific Northwest
So
is
perfect.
that there's all this rain and all this foliage and wildlife, and it's this very lush area that if someone were to settle down, it'd be a pretty good place to settle down just as far as the kind of fruit you can scavenge, the animals you can hunt. And then because it is so lush, because it is so teeming with resources, is why there are multiple factions trying to fight over those resources. One faction you run into in Seattle is the Washington Liberation Front. When the outbreak happened, the military took some pretty drastic actions and quarantined parts of the country. And this was their way of
Yeah, we saw that in
protecting
part 1.
the population that has survived this horrendous outbreak.
With all the fireflies
and because of
and
that, it led to rise
things
of
like
these resistance groups. And in the first game, we saw the fireflies.
Yep.
And we heard about other groups, and in this game, we get to see here's another group that rose called the Washington Liberation Front that was able to defeat the army and thereby take over a lot of their equipment. And they're this very
I
militaristic
wonder if we're gonna see
faction.
that happen, or if it's just assumed that it's already happened within the last 5 years.
And at the same time, you have the Seraphites. And they're a religious group that also came up out of the outbreak that believed that the pandemic came because of sin. They're trying to reset the world. and return it to a better place than it was.
In The Last of Us, almost any group that has survived this long has to be dangerous. If you're not dangerous, you're not going to survive. You're going to become someone's victim. And the two factions you run into are both very dangerous. The WLF has a lot of military equipment that they're able to use to defend this area, and they have large numbers, whereas the Seraphites are very quiet and stealthy and able to use
I think I'm more excited to face the Seraphites, honestly.
advantage, and they fight more in this kind of guerrilla warfare.
How you deal with them is
They
going to be
just seem
different.
so
because
much
they
more
have different
dangerous,
language,
the
they have different
Seraphites.
communication style. The Scars will whistle to each other with this different language. And they have some of the stuff that you have. You have a bow and arrow, they can hit you with arrows and impale you, and you have to pull the arrow out.
Oh,
They
look
have
at that.
big sledgehammers and melee weapons. The WLF, they have trained dogs that will sniff and attack
Okay,
you.
yeah, so they're the ones with the dogs.
Dogs are a new level of threat that Ellie hasn't had to negotiate before, and hopefully they create a new complicated choice for the player. We saw in them an opportunity to challenge people's perceptions of what a combat setup can be. We wanted to find really hard choices. The dogs themselves have names. They're called out by their owners. We wanted
That's actually really
every
cool.
setup to be challenging.
In the last Inside, we actually saw Ellie just
Looks like
throw a
infected
Molotov at a
this.
dog with its owner.
How many do you think it would take to bring down a moose?
Infected are still a threat in this world.
Look at
We
that.
wanted to take first our basic classes that we had in the first game and say, okay, what's different about them now? So we'll have scenarios where way more runners, like we can have hordes sometimes of runners coming after you, and it might be
Excuse
about
me?
just escaping because the odds are just
Hordes?
overwhelming. You know, this thing just keeps mutating. There's certain evolutions of infected that you haven't seen before, certain new classes.
There's the Shamblers, which
I'm not
kinda have
excited about
these
that one.
exploding acid clouds when you get near them.
You're running down a hallway and you have to suddenly make a decision like, oh, do I want to take the damage and go through this cloud?
It doesn't die
Or
whenever
find some other route or go back
it
the way I
releases that
came.
cloud?
And it kind of forces you to, on the
thought
fly,
it did.
kind of make new decisions about how you're going to deal with the threat behind you or potentially in front of you.
Okay, so that
So
just
again,
releases
it's
the
about
cloud.
how
I
do
thought it
we
like
make
properly died, like
fighting
the boomer
against
in Left 4 Dead.
infected intelligence. So when you come on a space, you're listening to audio cues because different classes will make different sounds. If you just go in guns blazing and throw caution in the wind, you could easily get overwhelmed and regret that strategy.
That level of uncertainty and instability is something our characters have to carry with them every day as they go out into the world to protect the people they love most. And that threat is banging on their door every day.
I really hope you make it.
Oh my god. Last was part 2, 6/19/20. We are almost there. We are about 3 weeks away, maybe even 2 weeks. From this Friday, in 2 days, we will be 2 weeks away from The Last of Us Part 2. Where I am, it will be releasing at 11 p.m. on that Friday, and I will be playing and posting as much as I can and as fast as I can, because I'm so excited to play this game. I went to 100% for sure, like no doubt, 100% this game, and just explore everything I can and take in all the narrative and combat, do New Game Plus and all that kind of stuff. Because if you didn't read some of the news articles from before, you can't upgrade Ellie all the way the first time you play through. So you have to do a New Game Plus in order to get everything upgraded, similar to part 1 of Last of Us. You had to get a New Game Plus in order to finish everything. But yeah, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to watch that. I'll be posting a lot of stuff, and I'm thinking of actually starting a new series. I'm thinking of starting Bully. That is a really old classic Rockstar game that I've been wanting to play for such a long time. And with us being almost 2 weeks out, I'll probably do that. Do like a 20-30 minute episodes posted throughout the 2 weeks. I'm not sure if I'll post it during the weekend, but we'll see. So thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll leave all the other parts, the inside the gameplay, inside the story, and inside the details in the link in the description. So go ahead and check those out if you like as well. And thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye bye.